What's up, everyone? Welcome to an NBA show. Been a while. We got some NBA crunch time for the showdown playoff slates between the Nuggets and the Thunder. I'm your host today, PJ Zwarich, and joining me, we got two of the sharpest minds in the biz. We got a showdown expert. We always got to bring Chop down for the showdown shows. How you doing today, Chop?
Yeah, doing good, man. Just got back from a good run at Costco. Big bill, but it's always worth it. It's always fun to go there. Ready for some showdown stuff now. It's dwindling down. Like the series are, a couple weeks ago we were having 4-game slates. Now it was all 2 games. Now we're pretty much going to be down to showdowns, and I don't mind. It's a nice way to finish off the NBA season.
Joining us as well, we got Derek Farnsworth, Notorious. How you doing, Noto? How are the golf streets treating you? And are you excited for tonight's game?
Yeah, I'm doing better than my golf lineups, that's for sure. JT, Rory, they have other plans this week, but yeah, doing good. I'm also a huge Costco fan, so maybe I can hit that up later today. And yeah, doing good. Excited for Game 6. Should be a good one. Hoping the Nuggets can win it and we get a Game 7.
Weirdly enough, I was also thinking about maybe going to Costco after all the shows are done today. When my wife gets home from work, we might head over there as well, because we are running low on a few things, and I don't feel like making dinner tonight. Then it's always nice just getting some nice, inexpensive Costco confectionery meal while you're walking out. Grab yourself a hot dog, grab yourself something else. Either way, tasty stuff. Shout out Costco, a couple of Costco guys here on the show. We're not going to do the boom thing. If you're joining us live, smash the like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Chop, I'll throw it to you first before we even start talking, captains and MVPs and the like. Who do you like in tonight's game? How do you think this is going to go?
That's a great question. I don't know. It's just like there's a piece of me that thinks we're, going back to Denver. They've got another good game in them at home to push it to a Game 7. I mean, maybe I'm wrong here, but it seems kind of clear to me that OKC is the superior team, so I'm a little bit leery of that. But I guess I'll give it to Denver. I'm really at a coin toss here, but I'll give it to Denver tonight, being at home, and they do have. It all comes down to Jokic. Can he muscle up? 40 plus more minutes of good basketball without completely wearing out. By the way, I've never seen Jokic act like this on a basketball court. Like not just like he's coaching the team, he's all demonstrative. He was never like that, right? He was just always a real laid back fella, and people got on him for being too laid back. Now he's out there like protesting every foul. He's coaching the team in the huddle, and like it's just he took on a whole new personality, and hopefully he's got one more run in him to push to a Game 7. So I'll lean towards Denver here.
He's not used to the Nuggets outside of him being this bad of a team. And I think that might have something to do with it, where he's just like, he could lay back, because he had a little bit more teammates to rely on, or if not more teammates, the same teammates who were playing a little bit better. But not, I'll throw it to you. What are your thoughts on tonight's game?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I can see OKC running away with it if they get up big early, but I do like Denver in this spot. And from a DFS perspective, we talked about it in the expert survey. The Thunder have an extra game in their pocket. They get to go back home. If they lose this game, they have a bigger rotation anyway. So I think you're going to see a really tight rotation from Denver. I think all the starters are going to see huge minutes. MPJ, probably one of the bigger decision points on the slate. We'll talk about him in a bit. But, Jokic, Gordon, Murray, I think all of them are going to play as many minutes as they can.
Agreed. Let's start diving into it. If you got any questions, you can throw them into the YouTube chat, throw them into the RotoGrinders live stream Discord chat. We'll talk FanDuel first, then we'll talk some DraftKings. DraftKings, I know, has a nice 100K to first tournament today for this game. Let's start on FanDuel at the MVP position, where they finally switched some things up for, I think it's for NBA too. I haven't actually played FanDuel over there, but FanDuel now has the salary multiplier and in addition to the points multiplier at the MVP position. And despite that, we still have Nikola Jokic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander projecting as by far the top options here at MVP. Derek, you want to get different at MVP, switch things up, or would you say, especially with the Nikola Jokic one, he's actually projecting for under-owned, you just going with the top options?
Yeah, first of all, so happy that FanDuel ended up switching their format. It was so hard to get different in small field stuff, which is what I like to play, especially for Showdown. So their old format with the MVP and whatever the other two spots were, it was just really tough. So now they lowered their salary floor. You got a lot of cheap guys, kind of like you do on DraftKings. So definitely like the format a lot better. And yeah, I like Jokic at MVP. I just think his ceiling is so much higher than everyone else's. You know, SGA has a high ceiling as well. But, I mean, I don't think he's going to play 45 minutes like I do think Jokic is going to get here. So he's my favorite spend for sure. If I'm going large field stuff, you can get a little bit different. You know, Aaron Gordon's had a few big games in the series. Jamal Murray just continues to play 40-plus minutes a night. You know, we've seen him top 50 fantasy points a few times already this postseason. So I think I'm definitely going to go with somebody from the Nuggets, and Jokic is my favorite MVP.
Chop, how about you? You go riding the Jokic train as well, or is there somebody else you want to get to here at the MVP position?
Well, I think that first off, basketball, I feel like unless there's something that happens and there's an egregious misprice in basketball where, you know, somebody gets scratched and there's a showdown game and you can roster another guy, taking his place at a low salary. I just think it's always good to grab the really good players like Jokic and SGA in the top spot because they're so much better than everybody else. So while I do want one of those guys, we're talking about FanDuel, and now you get penalized for salary over there. They multiply it, which they didn't used to do. And Jokic is so much more expensive than everybody else. He's $3,000 more than SGA, so it makes me worry. Like that's the first thing that makes me think, dang, do I really want to? That's going to be that's a big salary for Jokic in the MVP spot. And then we got the home road thing, which I'm a big believer in the postseason like this. I do believe role players play better at home for a lot of different reasons that we'll talk about later. And I think we've seen the biggest performances from Jokic have been on the road because at home he's getting a little bit more support from guys. Doesn't have to do it all. So I'm a little worried. I don't know, man. I don't know about Jokic. But I know that it'll either be Jokic or SGA for me in the top spot on FanDuel. I just don't know if it's worth paying the extra $3K plus because of the multiplier on Jokic's salary. But, SGA's kind of underperformed in this series too. It's not a great matchup for him. They're doing some good things on him defensively, and he's not great. But he's so much cheaper. It'll be one of the two stars. I just don't know which one yet.
I kind of went into this originally thinking that Jamal Murray may be my top choice at the MVP just because he is so much cheaper. It allows you to fit a second star. But also, if Denver is going to win tonight, we've just seen him have some pretty iconic playoff performances where he just goes absolutely bonkers. So I was a little bit interested in him there, but seeing that he's only going to be about like 10% lower for projected ownership than Jokic and SGA, that does make me second guess things a little bit. Let's talk utility. Let's talk salary savers. But in addition to salary savers, like there's a lot of 7 to 9K guys in this range that look really, really good. Jalen Williams, Jamal Murray, Chet Holmgren, Aaron Gordon, Isaiah Hartenstein. All of these are very viable. So I kind of want to know for each of these tiers here who your preferences are. Chop, I'll go to you first.
So in that next tier after those stars, we're talking about those guys. I think my favorite guy tonight, based on this game being in Denver, and I want to have more exposure to Denver players because of that. The role players jump off a little bit better to me. It's Aaron Gordon. He put up 2 monster games at home earlier in this series. He's cheap. He's the cheapest out of all of those guys in that area. And I just think there's a lot of upside there in this matchup for him. So I like Murray. I like Jalen Williams. Chet's fine. Hardenstein's been pretty darn good this series too. But Aaron Gordon to me seems like he has just as high of a ceiling as those guys, a pretty good floor. And you talked a minute ago about needing Murray to win, or needing a good game out of Murray and all that. I mean, they need Aaron Gordon. They need all these. They need like a couple of those guys to help
everybody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, we'll talk about the next tier in a minute, but some of those guys are a little troublesome. But Aaron Gordon, he's got to step up. I think he will. I like him at home. In fact, I did some home road. I was doing the home road split thing, earlier in the playoffs just to try, because I do believe in it. I think he's such a much better shooter at home, and I don't think it's a fluke. Just like Lou Dort is such a much worse 3-point shooter on the road. I don't think those things are a fluke. I think sometimes you fall in love with the backdrop of the depth or whatever at home. You get used to it, and you go on the road and it's different. And Aaron Gordon's just better at home. So I like Aaron Gordon quite a bit.
Noto, how about you? Who are you prioritizing the most among the sub 10K, above 7K tier?
Yeah, it kind of depends on what you're doing at MVP. If you lock in Jokic, it's kind of hard to get to Jamal Murray too, if you want to play SGA as well. So I like Aaron Gordon quite a bit. Chop mentioned his play. He's been good. He's at home. The minutes have been there. And I don't know. He just feels like a safe guy that has some upside too. And then I like Hardenstein. He's been playing a bunch in this series. He was on pace for 30-plus minutes in Game 2, and then he had 30 minutes in Game 3, 33 minutes in each of the last 2 games. Just has a really high floor. The price point's pretty good too, $7,200 on FanDuel. So those 2 are my favorites. I'm probably going to end up playing SGA alongside of my Jokic teams. So then after that, I kind of got to go dumpster diving a little bit. But I don't think Chet Holmgren's going to get a lot of ownership. He could be a guy to look to. Not a guy that I play a lot of. I like Hardenstein a little bit more. But if you want to get super unique, I think he's one way to do it.
Who would be your favorite salary savers on FanDuel today if you're looking to, one, just kind of like for optimal best choices to save salary? I'm looking at Russell Westbrook at only 4,400, thinking that looks pretty good here. But if you're trying to get different, or just in general, who are your top salary saving options, Noto?
Yeah, optimal, give me Alex Caruso, a guy that can put up a bunch of fantasy points quickly. Minutes have been there the last couple of games, 28 and 23 minutes. He's had some huge games in the postseason, so I like him quite a bit. He's only 3,600. Don't mind the Westbrook call, especially if you don't believe in MPJ. If he gets off to a bad start, I think they're going to pull him early and just roll with Westbrook. But if you do want to play MPJ, he's had one good game in the series. It was at home, so I don't know. I don't think I'll go there if I'm only building one lineup. But I like Caruso. I like Westbrook. And then Peyton Watson's been getting some minutes. He's only 1,200. So if you want to build a stars and scrubs lineup, he's an easy way to do it. He's had 14-plus, 12-plus fantasy points in 4 of the 5 games. So his price, if he gets you 10, that's pretty good.
It's kind of how I feel about Aaron Wiggins too. It's one of those things where I think he should be getting more minutes, and so that doesn't actually mean that he will. And so you don't really want to play that way, where you got to do what they're actually going to do, not what you want them to do. But Wiggins is a guy that's performed really well in limited minutes so far. Also, Chop, how about you? Any salary savers on FanDuel that stick out? And then we'll swap it over to DraftKings.
If we're salary saving being anybody under 6K on FanDuel, then you can't. You almost can't play it. You almost can't get as good of a role as Christian Braun. Just endless minutes. And he's at home, a role player at home. If you want to take a chance, Russell Westbrook, I'm on the fade Porter, fade Lou Dort train. I do think Peyton Watson, like in that Stars Scrubs build, you almost have to play Peyton Watson. And I don't mind that at all. He can get roughly 20 minutes. And if anything happens to like Westbrook or Porter Jr. or any of those guys are having a tough time, then Peyton Watson might end up in the optimal, man, if Jokic and SGA handled there. But then you got to set rules in lineup HQ that out of those Denver role players, Christian Watson, Christian Braun stands alone by himself. You don't have to worry about rules for him, but I'd be setting rules with Westbrook and Porter and Watson, concerning if one of these guys is having a bad game, then the other two will prosper and things like that. Just got to get into it like that. But those are some of the guys I like.
All right, let's make the pivot over to DraftKings. If you are watching this live, drop your questions in the RotoGrinders live stream Discord chat. Drop them in the YouTube chat as well, and we will make sure to answer them before we get out of here. On DraftKings, whereas on FanDuel, Jokic and even SGA were looking like they were going a little under-owned on FanDuel, that is, but on DraftKings, both of these guys looking like they're going a little over-owned in the captain position. Chop, are you going to do anything different over here on DK where the price difference between Jokic and SGA, it's not as big, but the gap between those two and everybody else is actually a lot bigger?
Yeah, I'm more inclined to play Jokic over here because he's a lot closer in salary to SGA, and I want Jokic over SGA regardless. So I'm more inclined to play him on DraftKings in that top spot. And to me, that's going to be the route. One of those two guys in the top spot on each side. Jamal Murray is, there's a thought there that maybe it's a Jamal Murray game and you could play him, but I just think I'm going to stick with big Jokic on DraftKings.
Noto, how about you? Who are you choosing as your captain on DK today?
Yeah, I'm kind of sticking with Jokic too. The price point isn't too bad with some of the punts that we have. And we didn't talk about Jalen Williams at all. I guess we'll talk about him in a minute. But, yeah, I like Jokic or Jamal Murray for my captain spots over on DraftKings. I just think if the Nuggets are going to keep this game close, if they're going to win, it's going to be one of those two ending up being the highest scoring guy.
All right, let's look over to the flex position where SimLabs isn't wanting to give us the data. Let's do a little refresh here. You mentioned Jalen Williams. He is cheaper on DK than he is on FanDuel. I guess they don't want to give us the flex players, so we'll switch over to Lineup HQ for the screen share there. But Noto, who are you trying to look at for the flex position to pair with your Nikola Jokic?
Yeah, so Jalen Williams is going to pop in a lot of lineups. I think I'm going to be underweight on him. He just hasn't had a must-have performance yet. He's only top 40 fantasy points once all series. And I think we can get similar production from Aaron Gordon for $1,200 cheaper. So that's going to be one of my stands, is being underweight on Jalen Williams. Yeah, in that next range, I really like Jamal Murray. I like Aaron Gordon. We talked about him quite a bit. And then, I don't know, are you guys making any lineups without Jokic and SGA?
No chance I'm doing that, no.
Yeah, so your options are kind of limited when you do that. You kind of got to pick your spots, especially on DraftKings. The pricing seems a little bit tighter. But yeah, I like Jamal Murray. I like Aaron Gordon, and then going to be fading Jalen Williams.
Once you put in Jokic to the captain, if you throw in SGA as well, it leaves you 42.25 for your last few positions. It is ugly down here. Who is your priority for tier 2, Choff? And then of the mid-range guys, the Murrays, the Williams, the Chets, Aaron Gordon, etc., and then lead us into salary savers.
Yeah, so I'm on the Jalen Williams semi-fade, like Notorious. I'm kind of on that train too. Chet Holmgren is another guy I would prefer to play in Oklahoma City as opposed to being on the road. And he's kind of priced up here. So not sure I want to go Chet Holmgren. My two favorites in this range, Aaron Gordon again, still a good price on DraftKings, and Isaiah Hartenstein. They need him in there against Jokic. He's getting 30-plus minutes in this series, and if Hartenstein stays on the court for 30-plus minutes, he's always going to be like a fantasy relevant guy. So I definitely like him the most. Those two guys the most in that category. Then we start dipping down a little bit below that. Christian Braun's still good, even though he's a little bit more priced up than FanDuel. I think Christian Braun's still fine. I think Russell Westbrook is still a good salary, and you're hoping for like a ceiling game out of him where it just revolves around, can he just come out there and make like a 3-point shot early? in his time on the floor. If he does, it gives him confidence and he becomes a different player. When he starts shooting a couple bricks up there early, boy, it just demoralizes him and he's out. So you're kind of like at the mercy of that right there. I do like Caruso in this spot on the road, so I'll go that route. Again, Porter Jr. fade, Lou Dort fade, and we get down into the real salary savers, and you need them if you're going to go with some of those stars up front. Peyton Watson, again, great salary on DraftKings. And on DraftKings and only on DraftKings, I've kept the other Jalen Williams in my pool, Jalen with a Y, because he's actually, on the court for double-digit minutes, and they kind of need that along with Hardenstein to help control Jokic a little bit. He does a pretty good job on him. Nobody's completely shutting him down. He's shutting himself down, Jokic is, with his fatigue, but they do need you can see Jalen Williams kind of getting under his skin a little bit. He's doing a pretty good job. So I'm going to keep a Jalen Williams in my pool because for 2K, you need the salary, and I think you could do worse than double-digit minutes at that range.
I like that it's a potential pivot off of Peyton Watson, too, who we're seeing project for nearly 70% ownership over here on DraftKings, where the salary-saving options are just very, very minimal. Noto, who are you prioritizing for salary savers? Then we'll take some questions, and then we'll get out of here.
Yeah, Watson in cash games, small field stuff, even in tournaments. I mean, he might be needed. Even if he only puts up like 6 fantasy points, he might be needed just from a roster construction standpoint to help you get the other guys in. But I don't mind the Jalen Williams pivot with a Y. The minutes have been there. So he's been a good per minute producer throughout his career. So I don't hate it, especially if you get Hardenstein in trouble, foul trouble, something like that. Caruso is a lot tougher on DraftKings than he is on FanDuel. He's third 5,200 over here. So I probably won't play a lot of him on DK. You can go to Aaron Wiggins, like you mentioned, TJ. The minutes have kind of been there too. And he's been pretty productive in this series. But again, I like the role players at home. So if you can get Christian Braun or Brown, I think that's the way to go. But he is kind of expensive.
No questions in the Discord or the YouTube chat. So that is all right. I got one more question for each of you guys, and then we will get out of here. Chop, there's a certain type of play for a showdown slate that you helped originate, and so I'm asking you first, who's your feel it in the plums play for tonight's NBA game?
Yeah, this is an easy one for me, man. So I think I'm all in on Aaron Gordon tonight. I just feel like at home they need him. It's been really good this series. They devote so much attention and trying to get Jokic off his game. It's leaving Aaron Gordon open. He's really solid at home from three-point range, so much better than on the road. I like Aaron Gordon. Fill in the plums tonight.
Noto, how about you? Who are you feeling in the plums tonight?
Yeah, well, I didn't want to say Jokic, so I was going to go there and Gordon, but I can't say Aaron Gordon, so I guess I'll go back to Jokic. Jokic at the MVP and captain. I just think if Denver's going to go out, they're going to go out with him swinging. I think he's going to play 44-plus minutes. He's had at least 42 each of the last 3 games. Elimination game at home. This is his time to shine.
All of us are on the Denver side, but I think I'm going to go with instead to Jamal Murray. I think it's going to be the Murray game today. I think he's going to go crazy and get them into game 7. We do have one question from Rocket Sauce. He says, Michael Porter Jr. is so cheap. Don't you kind of have to try to jam him in there? Well, the problem with Michael Porter Jr. being so cheap is he's also been so bad. And that's why he's so cheap. So absolutely with this very low projected ownership, if I was playing a ton of lineups, I'd get overweight for sure. I'd absolutely get overweight just because it's really, really easy to do if you're playing a lot of lineups and you cross your fingers and hope he gets hot. But if you're playing one lineup, there's no way I could do it. He has just been absolutely horrific. Noto's kind of same page for you.
Yeah, jam is kind of a strong word. I don't think I'd be jamming him into lineups, but if you build multiple lineups, I think in lineup HQ you build a rule to have a max of 1 between MPJ, Westbrook, with the ownership, like you mentioned, he's getting a 1% ownership right now on DraftKings. So if he finally has a good shooting game, he can maybe get there. I'm not playing him myself, but multiple lineups, I don't hate it.
Chop, any final words or strategy before we get out of here?
Yeah, it is. It is Christian Brown. I always say Braun. That's my bad. It is Christian Brown, spelled Braun, but no, it's a showdown. Like I don't know. You just got to get different in one little spot. It's going to be tough. There's going to be so many entries out there. But if you're multi-entering, again, use the rules in Lineup HQ, man. They matter and they help you out. You don't want lineups to be spit out with guys playing in the same lineup that just aren't going to have their ceiling games together. So try to figure that out, set some rules, and good luck, man. I hope we get a game 7.
I hope we do as well. Smash that like button on your way out. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. Thank you so much for tuning in today, everyone. And we will see you back here tomorrow for some more MLB content. On behalf of myself, Chop, and Noda, we'll see you next time. Peace.